China's economic growth is facing a challenging period, with a projected slowdown in the third quarter of 2025. But here's the catch. This slowdown is not just a blip, it's a one-year low, and it's sparking intense discussions among analysts and policymakers. The numbers. China's Q3 GDP growth is estimated at 4.8% year-on-year, a drop from 5.2% in Q2. September's data is expected to reveal a slowdown in factory output and retail sales. The Q3 GDP and September data release is scheduled for Monday, 0200 GMT. The context: China's economic woes stem from a prolonged property slump and escalating trade tensions with the US, which have dampened demand. Beijing has responded with modest support measures, but analysts are divided on whether more stimulus is on the way this year. The situation is further complicated by the country's lopsided economy, heavily reliant on manufacturing and external demand. The forecast. According to a Reuters poll, GDP growth is expected to decelerate to 4.3% in Q4, resulting in a full-year expansion of 4.8%, falling short of the official 5% target. This slowdown is anticipated to continue into 2026, with growth easing further to 4.3%. The stimulus debate. Analysts at ANZ don't foresee any new reflationary policies in the near term, believing the 5% GDP growth target is still within reach. However, Morgan Stanley's chief China economist, Robin Singh, predicts limited stimulus measures and forecasts second-half growth of 4.5% or lower. The question remains, will Beijing unveil fresh stimulus if growth falters? And what impact will this have on the economy's long-term trajectory? Trade tensions and rebalancing. The renewed trade tensions with Washington have exposed China's economic vulnerabilities. As the world's second-largest economy, China's reliance on manufacturing and overseas demand has led to expectations that leaders may need to implement painful reforms to rebalance growth towards domestic consumption. Upcoming events. Chinese leaders will gather for a closed-door meeting from Monday to Thursday to discuss the country's development plan, with a focus on high-tech manufacturing amid rising US rivalry. Investors are also awaiting the Politburo meeting and the Central Economic Work Conference in December for insights into next year's economic policies. Controversial tariff threats. US President Donald Trump has threatened to double tariffs on Chinese goods starting November 1st. But officials from both countries have hinted at a potential de-escalation. This situation highlights the delicate balance between stimulating growth and addressing supply-demand imbalances, especially with deflationary pressures persisting despite efforts to control overcapacity and corporate competition. Painful rebalancing ahead? China's policymakers are faced with a challenging task: stimulating growth while addressing deep-rooted deflation. Encouraging private spending for sustainable long-term growth will likely require significant reforms. With the economy's traditional focus on infrastructure and manufacturing, and a recent emphasis on consumer subsidies, the path to rebalancing is complex and controversial. What do you think? Is China's economic slowdown a temporary blip or a sign of deeper structural issues? Will Beijing's potential stimulus measures be enough to shore up growth, or is a more fundamental rebalancing of the economy necessary? Share your thoughts and let's spark a discussion.